everyone. My name is Chirag and I welcome you all on the behalf of PyNet Labs. In this particular video, we are going to explore the networks. Yes, so we are going to learn what is network. We are going to learn how a network works and every basic detail which we need to know before digging deeper into the world of networking. So let's quickly get started and begin the video. So after this video, I can say you'll be able to answer these questions. You'll be able to tell what is a network, then what are the functions of networking, then what are the components of network, which is basically what is a network built of, then what are the characteristics of a network, what are the differences between physical and logical topologies and what exactly they are, and how the network diagrams are created or interpreted. So let's get started quickly and see what do we have next to cover. So the very first question is, what is a network? A network is, in the simplest manner, which I can explain anyone, would be if I have this PC here, let's say PC A, and another PC here, PC B, and if I connect them together either through a wire or maybe through wireless signals, then I can simply call it as a network. And as we can see here in the statement also, it is given that a network can be as small as 2 computers that are directly connected to each other, and it can be as large as internet, which is a network of millions of devices. So both are some different types of networks. There are some different, again, multiple types of networks which differ on the basis of the devices they have or the geographical location they are covering. So on those bases, we can differentiate between different types of networks. But again, if we talk majorly about the networks only, it is just a connection of multiple devices. Then the next thing we have here is, what are the functions of networking? So why do we need networking? That's a really great question. So a networking is an important thing when it comes to sharing. So it is usually when you want to share things, you need networking. Now, why do we make such connections? When we say a PC is connected with another PC, what is the use of that connection? So that they can share files with each other, they can share information. So when we talk about such functions of networking, we have sharing information, which is like sharing some details over the email. So that needs the networking, right? Then sharing some files, some important documents, some images, maybe some audios, sharing all those things with each other requires networking. Then sharing resources, like having a single printer for multiple users. Let's say you just have this single printer and multiple users are using the same printer to print their documents. So at this point, we need networking to make this work, right? So in such scenarios, we need networking. Then the last thing is sharing applications. So we can say in some organization, we have some dedicated applications which are there for their employees. Now that application is not just being used by one of the employee or a particular team, that is used by the whole number of employees they have in their organization. So that is something, again, sharing the same application with a lot of people, right? So there also we need networking. So in such scenarios, without networking, it is not possible to make it work. So it's an important thing to learn about. Then we have learned that we need networking and how we differ between networks. Now, the next thing is, what is a network built of? Basically, what are the components of network? So a network can be built of some host devices, which is basically, in simpler words, your PC, your laptop, tablet, smartphone, all these devices are your host devices. Then some servers, which are hardware having multiple resources, which can be used for multiple purposes, like a storage server can be there for storing some specific database or storing some specific files. Then there can be an email server, there can be a server for specific technologies or specific functions. So those are the servers which we need in a network. The network interface card, this is an important thing. Network interface card is something which is there in your PC, because of which you can get connected with your Ethernet cables. It provides you a presence inside the network. The MAC address is there on the network interface card itself. So very important thing to talk about. Then now you have these devices, you have a NIC, which is network interface card installed in your devices. But then also you need some cable to make them connected, right? So that is your communication links. Again, a very important component. So all the cables like UDP cables, there are like many different categories of cables which are which differ on the basis of resources or the devices they are required to connect. So we have UTP cables, we have STP cables, copper cable, fiber cable, then multiple standards are there. So all those things are there inside the communication links. Then you have a switch. A switch is a device which can simply be used for connecting multiple PCs. Now in our previous scenario, we had just 2 PCs, right? We connected them together with the cable. But let's say there is such 5 PCs and you want them all to be connected with each other. So in such scenarios, we can use a device called switch. So you can connect all the devices with this switch and they'll be able to communicate with each other. Then the next thing is your routers. A router performs multiple functions, but I would say the usual one which we talk about, or the important one, is making one network communicate with the other. That's the main role of any router, right? So that's again a really important component of network, and I would say the majority of networking protocols work on the capabilities of any router. So that's again a very, I would say, a required component of any network. Then a firewall is basically your watchman. Just like any watchman in any society who is there to see, like to allow or deny some type of people or anyone and for entering the society. Just like that, we have firewalls. Firewalls allow or deny specific type of data inside your network. So they will deny all that data which can harm your network, right? So a firewall is a very important thing when it comes to security. Then you have network protocols, a stack of network protocols, which are there inside these devices, which makes all this work. So that's again important and very much required when we talk about networks, right? Networking protocols are very important. So you can learn about them. Then, like, we will be discussing about them, maybe not in this video, but in some other video. Then the next thing we have here is, what are the characteristics of networks? Now, what are the things which we should be looking for inside a network? Now, these are fault tolerance. Fault tolerance means that if there is any sort of fault inside a network, then there should be some other way, or there should be some alternative, so that the whole network shouldn't go down. So that is a characteristic which can be looked for in a type of network. Then scalability. Scalability is how much you can expand your network. Now, if I am using devices which can only connect 2 devices, just say I have a switch, we are just assuming this, which can connect only 2 PCs. Now in future, my company grows and I need to connect another PC. Then in that case, I would have to replace the switch with something which can connect 3 or more devices, right? So that is basically an example of scalability. How much is your network expandable? So that is an important thing which we should be looking for inside any network. Then quality of services. Quality of services is simply, we can say, managed unfairness. Being unfair with the data, but in a managed way. So you prioritize a sort of data, a type of data over the other type of data. Now, there can be multiple types of data coming from the organization or from the people. Now, whether to prioritize data or not, that is something which you define with the help of quality of services. There are different tools which you can use. Now, for example, there is an organization and some employees are just watching some YouTube videos and the other employees are on important call with the client. Now, we need to prioritize the data, the voice packets which are coming from the client, like from the employees which are talking with the client, right? So that is something which can be done with the help of QoS, quality of services. Then security. As I said, security is a very important thing. Your network should be safe, should be secure. Your data should be, it shouldn't have any viruses or malwares. So security is something which we should always look for in a network, and we should try to deploy a network which is maximum secure and is safe. Then the next thing is, what are the physical and logical topologies? Now, physical topologies are the physical layout of devices and the cables to form the connected network. Then the logical is, it is the transmission of data over physical topology. Now, physical topology majorly focuses upon things like the cost of the deployment, the resources, the scalability of the devices which are being used. Then logical topologies is more about how your data is getting transmitted over that physical devices. So if we are talking about the scalability, if we are talking about the cost, then we are basically using the physical topology. If we are talking about the location of the devices, the environment of the devices, all these things come inside the physical topologies. But a logical topology is used, basically a design of the topology. It is used when the things are related to the data transmission, like how fast is the data traveling from one point to the other. So that is when you are dealing with your logical topologies. Then let's see how are network diagrams created or interpreted. Now this is a diagram here with this, and it says that it contains multiple devices. It contains PC, it contains laptop, IP phone, it contains server, then WLAN controller. This is WLAN controller, which is a wireless local area network controller. Then you have some routers, some switches, and this AP. So this AP is your access point. Let's begin from this only. An access point is simply a device which transmits the wireless signals, as you can see here. It is transmitting these signals, and these signals are basically connecting this AP with this laptop. And now the laptop is also connected with the rest of the network. Similarly, you have a similar device here, which is a switch, which we were just talking about in the network component section. So a switch is something which is connecting multiple devices together, right? As we can see, a PC is getting connected, a server is getting connected, then wireless LAN controller is getting connected, routers are getting connected. So all these are getting connected with the switch, and the switch is basically making such communications or such connections possible. Then these are your firewalls. These bricks basically represents your firewalls, and this cylindrical thing is your router. Then if I talk about this cloud-like structure, this is your network. Now this can also be internet. This can also be specifically about some type of network inside any organization, which is just like an access network. Then this is a representation of cable, basically the Ethernet cable. The straight red line represents the Ethernet cable, and this zigzag red line represents the serial cable, serial link basically. So these are some different types of cables or links which are used between devices, which can be read in detail or can be found in some other video on our channel. Now, when a person who is not aware of the network or the devices which are there in the premises or in the organization wants to inquire about that, then it can a network diagram is something which can simply be used for the explanation. Now, if anybody gets this diagram, who is aware of what a router is, what a switch is, what these red lines are, what a AP is. So if someone who is aware of all these things would be able to understand that, okay, this is something which is happening in this building. Okay, I have a switch here on the first floor, then I have a switch here on the second floor. All this can be read with the help of, or we can say all this can be understood by simply understanding the network diagram. So network diagrams is an important thing to learn, and they are really helpful, and they help you a lot when it comes to dealing with things in the production. So make sure you guys read more about the topics which we have talked about here in this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video and got to learn out of it. So I'll see you in some other video now. Till then, take care, bye-bye, and make sure you read more about these. Bye-bye.